Welcome to my channel, everybody. My name is Lukey G, and I'm very happy that you guys are here. And, well, I am really happy to be here and to be able to talk to you guys about my next wonderful project. Talking about lyrics of songs. And I'm going through some of the songs, not all of them, that are on the US Billboard year-end Hot 100 singles of 1970. Why 1970? Well, that's a good question. I don't know. Maybe because I feel, I don't know, somehow connected to 1970. Let's see. I was like 17 years old back in those days. So, you know, I was very young, but a lot of these songs I remember very clearly, you know, like if it was yesterday. And today I would like to talk about a song that is called Spill the Wine. Spill the Wine, Take That Pearl. And it's Eric Burdon and War is the name of the band. Eric Burdon and War. And actually, this song I really used to like because it reminded me of Mexico. And I think that's because there's throughout the song there's the voice of a woman speaking Spanish in the background. And plus it has like a Latin beat vibe to it. I would even venture to call this genre rock Latin influence, rock with Latin influences or something like that, you know, because it definitely has them. So, Spill the Wine by Eric Burdon and War. Now, Eric Burdon was from Wales. He was born in Wales. He grew up in that part of the world. Very difficult childhood. Rough times for him. He hated it. He hated school. And as soon as he was able to get out, he got out and he went to live in London for a while, and then he ended up in New York, and well, and the rest is history because he, you know, formed his band, and this is where he was doing his recordings. So Spill the Wine is in an album called Eric Burdon Declares War. Okay, and it's in that album that this song is in, Spill the Wine. It's 4 minutes and 51 seconds long, so you could say that it's almost 5 minutes long. Okay. The writing of the song, pretty much everybody in the band, you know, had something to do with the writing of this song. There are a lot of members in this band. There are, I think, 8, 9 members, something like that, or 7 members in this band. Let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 members in this band. Papa D. Allen, who was who plays the congas and percussions. And there's a percussion in this song. It's like, I don't know what that instrument is called, but it's kind of like a piece of brown wood. It kind of looks like a big seed, and it's got little grooves in the middle of it, and then you just scrape it, and it goes kind of like a washboard, except it's wood. And so he's in charge of percussions in this song, or with this band. Harold Brown plays the drums. Eric Burdon does the vocals. B.B. Dickerson, he plays the bass, and he does backup vocals. And then we have Lonnie Jordan, and Lonnie Jordan is playing the organ and the piano. And then Charles Miller, he's tenor saxophone and flute. And the flute is very, very important in this song. It really sets the tone in the mood. Lee Oscar plays the harmonica, and Howard E. Scott plays the guitar and does backup vocals. So it's a very dynamic band, and the music that they're making is just incredible. And this song is incredibly fantastic. Yeah, I know many of you might be familiar with it, many of you might not. Now, when I was back in the day, when this song came out and I would listen to it, I really liked it because it had that Latin beat. But I never really paid attention to the lyrics, you know. And now that I'm doing this video and I've really kind of like, okay, let's check out the lyrics, right? Because I'm talking about the lyrics. And I was like, wow, this is a very sensual song, very sexual. It's very juicy, you know, in a very nice way, by the way. So I was like, oh, okay, I like that even more. That's even better. That makes it more interesting. So it was inspired because of an accident that they had in the studio. They were in the studio, and Lonnie Jordan, who plays the guitar, sorry, he plays the piano and the organ, he accidentally spilled some wine in one of the mixing boards in the studio. And so somehow this inspired them with this song. I really don't see the connection except for the wine, maybe, but that's about it. But anyway, that's how the story goes. That's how this song came to flourish. Now, like I was saying, it has a strong rock Latin flavor. Eric Burdon, with his voice, is amazing. He's got a very present voice. It has a lot of presence. Inclusively, I think it was Rolling Stones. They did this whole thing of like some of the coolest voices in rock and roll, and I think he's in there also. He was also very in the rock world here in the States. He knew Jimi Hendrix. As a matter of fact, when Jimi Hendrix died, his girlfriend called Eric Burdon. So he had some strong connections with the rock scene at that point in time. He probably still does. Now, the song really, what makes this song snap with personality is the percussions and the flute solos throughout the song, which kind of change moods and move into the next scene or the next, verse or whatever. And the sound of the woman speaking Spanish in the background, who happened to be a friend of Eric's, okay? And that voice is heard in the background. I can't really distinguish what she's saying, but it's Spanish, I know it's Spanish. And they say it's Spanish, but I knew it was Spanish from when I heard it years ago. Now, if you listen to the song and it does not have her voice in the background mumbling in Spanish, you probably have another recording of this song which they did specifically for to give to radio stations so that they would play the song. And that part of her speaking in Spanish in the background, they kind of like took that out. So it wasn't included for some reason, I don't know. So if that's the one you hear, that's the second version. The original version will have that voice of that woman, her friend, speaking in Spanish. Now, the song was really popular. It's number 20 in this official Billboard end of the year list of the top hot songs, right? It's in that list. It was put there by the end of the year, but throughout the year, it peaked to number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100. Depends, like if you look at the November Billboard of 1970, you can see how this song is up in the 3. For example, it hit 3 in Canada, and in Australia it hit number 2. In Mexico, I think it was number 5. And this is like around mid-November of 1970. So that song pretty much did pretty good. People liked it. Okay, so now, like I was saying, it's a very juicy, sexy song, and it's really cool. So I'm going to read the lyrics. I will try to really get into the feeling of the song, because that's what it's all about, right? Getting a feel of the lyrics. So it starts with, I was once out strolling one very hot summer's day, when I thought I'd lay myself down to rest in a big field of tall grass. I laid there in the sun and felt it caressing my face, and I fell asleep and dreamed. Now, just in the beginning, it's already getting very sensual. Felt the caressing of the sun on my face. I mean, didn't feel the nice warmth of the sun. No, the caress. So that's very sensual. And then he went into a dream, and then he started dreaming. So that's pretty cool. For me, that's like, okay, so it's kind of like an intro of what's coming up next, if you want to follow with that idea. So then he goes, I dreamed I was in a Hollywood movie, that I was the star of the Hollywood movie. This really blew my mind. The fact that me, a long-haired, overfed, leaping gnome, could be the star of a Hollywood movie. But there I was. Now, in this part, but there I was, the flute is going to do this little play that really picks up the beat, and it kind of, it's like jumping into something, But there I was. I was taken to a place, the hall of the mountain kings, stood high by the mountain top, naked to the world. Now, when you see naked, when I saw naked, I thought, well, emotionally exposed, naked, No, this is physically naked. He, on top, naked. So he said, stood high by the mountaintop, naked to the world, in front of every kind of girl. So, it's almost like he sees in front of him, and there's like all these women down there, every kind of girl. There was long ones, tall ones, short ones, brown ones, black ones, round ones, crazy ones. And then he goes, out of the middle came a lady. She whispered in my ear something crazy, she said. Now, while this is going on, you hear in the background this woman speaking in Spanish, right? Mumbling, which is his friend, and she's recording in the background, and she's speaking, but her voice is kind of muted out a little bit with the other sounds of the other instruments in the song. But then he's singing, right? And he goes, and she said, Spill the wine, take that pearl. Spill the wine and take that girl. Spill the wine, take that pearl. Spill the wine, take that girl. Now, the first time that I was listening to the song for this video, I heard pearl, 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 pearl. I didn't know he was saying girl, but I thought the pearl is the girl. The pearl is the woman. The pearl, which is a very beautiful stone that comes from the sea. And it's perfect. It's smooth and round. And it's, it's very a very treasured piece of stone. So I thought, well, that's kind of cool to make that comparison of pearl and then play with the word girl, which when I see the song now in the written form, he's alternating from pearl to girl, pearl to girl. So I thought that was kind of cool. And then he goes, so spill the wine, take that girl, right? And then he goes, I thought to myself, I wonder what that could mean. I wonder what that could mean. Am I going crazy? Or is this just a dream? Now, wait a minute. I know I'm laying in a field of grass somewhere. So it's all in my head. And then I heard her say, one more time, baby. Spill the wine, take that pearl. So she's telling him, spill the wine, take that pearl. 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 I could feel hot flames of fire roaring up my back as she disappeared, but soon she returned. In her hand was a bottle of wine, and in the other a glass. She poured some of the wine from the bottle into the glass. Now, I know this sounds kind of corny right now. I'm reciting it, and I don't think I'm doing a very good job at it, but when you're listening to this in the song, he kind of slows down what he's saying, and so it creates a little bit of tension. What's she going to do? So, from the bottle into the glass. Raised it to her lips, and just before she drank it, she said, spill the wine, get that pearl. Spill the wine, get that pearl. Spill the wine, get that girl. Spill the wine, get that pearl. Spill the wine, get that girl. Come on, been a long time. Spill the wine, get that girl. So, that's the lyrics. Those are the lyrics. Great song, great rock song. Honestly, I don't do it justice at all, that's for sure. But I just love this song. And I think, that I'm glad it's on this list. As a matter of fact, it's number 20. I honestly feel like this song is better than a lot of the songs that are before it. Let's see, though. We had talked about that, like Bridge Over Troubled Waters is number 1. I don't know, man. Spill the Wine's pretty good. They Long to Be Close to You. Yeah, Ain't No Mountain High Enough. Diana Ross. It's a good song, but still. Let It Be by the Beatles is number 9, I still think Spill the Wine's better. I think that's a better song. Let's see, what else? Let me see if I can find some more examples. Everything is Beautiful. Everything is beautiful in its own way. It's a beautiful song, but Spill the Wine's a really good song. Anyway, the point is, there's a lot of songs that were elected as better, but I guess this is happening in the 1970s. So one way to tell the long-lasting excellence of a song is that, 70, 80, 90, 2010, 20, 50 years later, more than 50 years later, this is still a really good song. So it gives it like that kind of status of a classical rock song, because you can listen to it and it's so cool, right? And the other songs, like I was talking about Bridge Over Troubled Waters, in its time it was great, but now, for me anyway, this is my opinion, for me it's okay. So in 1967, here in the United States, we had what we called the Summer of Love, the Summer of Love. And that took place in the summer of 1967. I was 14 years old. I remember 1967 very well. I knew about the Summer of Love. I don't remember it being called the Summer of Love, but I remember that event. And I remember that it took place in San Francisco in the Haight-Ashbury district. I had never been to San Francisco, so it really, I knew San Francisco, what it was, the big city in the Pacific. I was living in Texas at that time. But I knew that that's where this was happening, this Summer of Love, 1967 event, And I knew that the hippies were there, This Summer of Love was a cultural phenomena where around 100,000 young people, often referred to as the hippies, which that's how I knew them as, they converged. Okay, they went to this area. They went to San Francisco, to the Haight-Ashbury district, and they were, embracing the ideals of peace, love, and freedom. They were choosing to freedom. They were choosing to follow different paths than what their parents had done. They were breaking away from what had been done generations before, parents and grandparents. They wanted peace and love, not war and love and family and making a bunch of kids so that they can become soldiers and go to war. That was not it. We were completely against that, and I totally agreed with them. I was there. Spiritually, I was there. And a lot of us in Latin America, we were there. We yeah, totally cool. But it's just amazing to me that many folks, young people, were there. And if you look at, if you go online and you look at some pictures of the Summer of Love, 1967, peace, love, and freedom, hippie movement, whatever, you will find some incredible pictures of all these beautiful young kids. It's really beautiful. Young people really full of hope and wanting to have a better future for themselves, and completely against the war in Vietnam, because we had been World War I, World War II, and then we had Korean War, and then we were in the Vietnam War. It was like, the whole 20th century, from 1914 or whenever World War I started, 1912, something like that, 1914, I don't know, World War I, and then boom, we were in World War II. And the thing is that their parents, and I include myself too, even though I was younger, when they had to go to war, they didn't question the reasons why. They went and fought in the war, and many of them died. Many people lost their sons their husbands, their brothers. But it was like, it was okay. Support the war effort. But by the time the 60s came around, after Korea and then Vietnam, we just weren't buying it. We weren't buying it. And so when you look at the pictures of these young people in San Francisco in 1967, and they were coming from all over the country, they have posters that say peace, love, and understanding, peace and love, and they have the peace sign, you know, the circle with a peace sign. And many of them have signs, make love, not war, make love, not war. And that became a pretty famous saying, make love, not war. And I mean, it's the first time I had ever heard that expression. Now, I've studied literature, but I didn't do American literature, or I did a little bit of British literature. I never saw that, but I didn't do any like other literatures like Russian literature or Italian, you know. I could see that maybe Russia, they might say something like, but I don't think so. I mean, the love, the peace and love thing is strictly, it's something that comes out of the hippie movement of the 60s, I think. And make love, not war also comes from that period, I believe. I mean, I'm not going to do the research to prove it or anything like that, but I mean, I just have a feeling that maybe that's what the deal is. And it's like, it was like, that's what it was. That's what it was all about. You know, it was all about peace. And, you know, so that's what this song ended up taking me to, you know. And because Eric Burdon, his band is called, right, Eric Burdon and War. Yeah. And the album is Eric Burdon Declares War. That's the name of the album where this song is at, which was released in 1969. Okay. So, because everybody, all the rockers, all the, you know, the smokers and tokers and, you know, of the young generation here in the United States were feeling this very strongly, and it just kind of spread like wildfire to a point that, like I tell you, even in Central America and Latin America, South America, we were hearing about it. And I was in Houston, but, you know, I knew that Janis Joplin was in San Francisco at that point in time, but I didn't know exactly in 1970. But later on, like a couple of years later, I knew that she had been there, and I knew that a lot of Jimi Hendrix, a lot of Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, all those guys, everybody had been there. So I think even Joni Mitchell was there. I wouldn't be surprised. I know she was in Woodstock. But anyway, that is it. I'm done. I don't know. I'm not going to say anymore. I don't know what else to say. There's so much. I mean, it's very simple and very cool. And I loved talking about this album. I really got so much pleasure out of listening to this song again and talking about this particular song from the album. And much more so than when I did Simon and Garfunkel's Bridge Over Troubled Waters, honestly. I think that as you know, come with me on this journey of exploring a lot of these songs with their lyrics, you're going to get a good sense of the kind of music that I really do appreciate and love and can really relate to. So, okay, guys, thank you so much for visiting my channel. Excuse the shaking. Yeah. Thanks for visiting. It means a lot to me. Have a great day. Peace and love. Take care. Bye.